It's time for the KBOI Medical Moment. It's brought to you by Regence, featuring Dr. Kenny Bramwell of Regence Blue Shield of Idaho. Dr. Bramwell, how are you this morning?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for calling.
We appreciate you being with us. Some really sobering news over the past few days from the National Safety Council on opioid overdoses. Now, it certainly seems to add urgency to Governor Little's recent State of the State address and subsequent editorial board meetings where he's talked about fighting the opioid epidemic plaguing the state.
Yeah, the Safety Council findings are a little short of tragic. For the first time in the history of the U.S., they have found that a leading cause of death in our country, what medical people call motor vehicle crashes, what everybody else calls car accidents, has been surpassed in likelihood by opioid overdoses. So there's now a 1 chance in 96 from dying of an opioid overdose based on the council's analysis of the 2017 data. The probability of dying in a motor vehicle crash is 1 in 103.
Are there ways for Idaho and the rest of the country to change this trend?
Yes. The council has recommended a few ideas of how to tackle this crisis. One is increasing pain management training for opioid prescribers. 2 is making the potentially life-saving drug naloxone more widely available. And 3 is expanding access to addiction treatment.
On a lighter note, there's now scientific proof of the health benefits of spending quality time with our pillows. What's the good word on that?
Right? Your personal physician has probably spoken with you repeatedly over the years about getting enough sleep, between 7 and 8 hours for most of us. A new study involving nearly 4,000 people concluded we should include sleep as one of the weapons we use to fight heart disease. For years, similar studies have shown that a lack of sleep raises the risk of cardiovascular disease by increasing heart disease risk factors such as glucose levels, blood pressure, inflammation, and obesity.
So doing what we can to get enough shut-eye is kind of a big deal, maybe more important than most of us think?
Absolutely. The fact is that sleep deserves a place alongside diet and exercise as a key pillar of our healthy lifestyle.
Speaking of diet, it sounds like we're coming up short there too, so we should sleep more and eat more what?
Fiber. Most of us just don't consume enough of fiber in our daily diet. According to a new study commissioned by the World Health Organization, most of us consume about 20 grams or less of dietary fiber each day. Based on the latest research, we should eat between 25 and 29 grams. Higher amounts are even more beneficial, according to this analysis.
Okay, that sounds difficult, maybe even unpleasant, like wheat bran and parsnips at every meal?
Right. We don't have to go that far, Chris. It's actually a lot easier than that. High-fiber foods like Idaho-grown apples and lentils and Northwest-grown blueberries and strawberries, as well as multigrain breads from one of Treasure Valley's great bakeries, make terrific additions to our diet. The benefits of boosting our fiber consumption are really impressive. A 15 to 30% reduced risk of death and chronic diseases in people who include the most fiber in their diets compared with those with the lowest intake.
Well, Dr. Bramwell, we thank you for joining us this morning on KBOI.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris.